Josh Jalinski is the president of Wealth Quarterback LLC, a registered investment advisory firm located in New Jersey. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm or its representatives by securities regulators, nor is it an indication that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Investment advisory services may only be provided to clients in jurisdictions in which the firm and its representatives are appropriately registered or exempt from registration. You should not assume that any discussion or information contained in this broadcast serves as the receipt of or as a substitute for personalized investment advice from the advisor. Different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk, and there can be no assurance that the future performance of any specific investment, investment strategy, or product, or any non-investment related content made reference to directly or indirectly in this broadcast will be profitable, equal any corresponding indicated historical performance level or levels, be suitable for your portfolio or individual situation, or prove successful. Past performance is not indicative of future result. Investment advisory services offered through Wealth Quarterback LLC. Tired of losing money in the stock market roller coaster? Frustrated with the government taxing you into oblivion? Worried about inflation? How do you prepare for so many financial uncertainties? Welcome to the show that will help you develop your game plan. The Financial Quarterback with Josh Jalinski. Josh is a noted financial advisor and president of the Jalinski Advisory Group, and he's here to answer your questions. Call into the show at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. Now, let's kick off your financial future. Here's Josh Jalinski.
Good morning, America. This is Ernesto Caleri. I am Josh Jalinski's sidekick, and you are listening to The Financial Quarterback. This is the must-listen-to radio show for all things money, from tax savings, wealth management, retirement planning, and a little relevant dose of politics. So happy Saturday, and this morning we have a special guest, Louis Pierro. He is the founder and principal of Pierro, Connor, and Strauss. Good morning, Louis.
Good morning, Louis. Good morning.
Why don't you give? We're so happy to have you. Why don't you give us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I'm an attorney. I practice in the trust and estates area. I've been doing it for 36 years, a little bit longer than I'd like to admit. But our firm is located on Madison Ave. We have offices in several states, and we focus on planning for estates, trust, wills, business succession planning. We also do a lot of work with seniors as people age, helping them to get the care that they need and protect their finances. So it's an estate planning and elder law firm. We have 12 lawyers, and my own personal background, been doing this in New York, again, 36 years, and a member of the New York State Bar and a number of other organizations. I won't bore you with all of them.
So what do you think about the tax policy proposed?
It's a major shift. We just came through the Trump tax cuts, which happened back in 2017, which had both personal and corporate tax cuts. And we can get into a little more detail on what those were. But now it's not only shifting back to where we started before the Trump tax cuts, but it's actually shifting further to, as the president has said, put the burden on the wealthy to pay for things like infrastructure and all of the grand plans that they have to rebuild the country and grow the economy and create jobs, but it costs money. And if you want to balance the budget or come close, they need revenue. And the only way the government gets revenue is taxes. So it's income tax, capital gains tax, estate and gift tax. All of those are in the crosshairs of the current regime, looking at increasing that tax burden and having the cash flow that the government needs to do all of the things like rebuild roads and bridges. But there's a whole lot more to it. It's a very big $3 trillion proposal.
So what parts, before we go to the Biden tax plan, what parts of the Trump tax plan do you think are staying? Is it proposed that he's keeping the 20% QBI or what?
That hasn't been discussed yet, so we're hopeful that that stays in. The corporate tax rate is on the block. That's one of the main features that's being tied to the infrastructure bill. So the corporate rate went from 35% pre-Trump to 21%, which was a significant decrease in that corporate tax rate. And it's proposed now to go back up to 28%. That's the current proposal, which would raise a significant amount of money for the government. But one thing that people have to realize is even though that's the nominal corporate tax rate, most corporations don't pay that. And on average, the corporate actual tax rate, the money that they actually pay in taxes after deductions and adjustments and all the things that their corporate tax departments do, is closer to 8%. So we'll see where that 28% brings us, but they think the effective rate may go from 8 to 16, and that's where that revenue increase would come from. Those are the main corporate tax cuts. And of course, when the Trump tax cuts went into effect, the corporate side was permanent. So these are enacted as permanent legislation. The individual tax cuts are temporary. They had to sunset them at the end of 2025. So we only have a few years left of those tax cuts, regardless of what happens with the Biden administration.
So what's your 50-50, 60-40? What's the chance that this passes?
Something's going to pass. The question is what? And it's like watching sausage be made. So you have the Bernie Sanders wing who wants more tax increases and more spending. And then you have the very conservative wing who says we're not going to spend anything. And Mitch McConnell has basically said that no Republican is going to vote for any of these bills.
Yeah, so then you basically have one, all they need to peel off is one of the Georgia Democrats or West Virginia Democrats or Arizona Democrats. I mean, that's basically their only hope to defeat it. So let's say the Democrats vote in a block, and then Joe Manchin, what is he saying?
It's made Joe Manchin kind of one of the most powerful people in America, because he is now dictating the legislation because he's the vote they need to get it passed. And what the conservative Democratic wing is talking about a 25% corporate tax rate, as opposed to going from 21 to 28, bringing it back in at 25%. I don't know that would really hurt corporate America significantly. That's a nominal tax rate, 4%, but certainly it's something more than they have today. And the politics are going to be interesting to watch because it is going to be done as a reconciliation bill. They're never going to get 60, which they need. But so it's going to have to be done through reconciliation. And that's going to bring them back to the dynamic, as you just mentioned. Who are the Democrats that are going to get what, West Virginia will get more perks than any state in the country to get him on board to get this legislation. It's sausage making. So it's not pretty. We'll see what the final result is. But the infrastructure bill has garnered, as did the COVID relief bill, a lot of public support. A lot of people are behind rebuilding the country, rebuilding roads, rebuilding bridges, bringing broadband in.
I don't know about that.
Those are all laudable goals.
Why do we need broadband? I mean, I agree with you that it's something the media tells us people want. But if you take broadband, for example, Tesla's Elon Musk created a company, Starlink. They're already making the need for broadband and really government-funded cable obsolete. Why not just allow the government to not suppress his activities? Why should we spend all of these monies on sort of like a boondoggle? And then the roads and bridges. I remember in 2008, we live in New Jersey, which is, sort of the sausage capital of the world. The pork spending is ridiculous. We have beautiful roads and bridges that they repave every year. I remember that there was much talk about all these infrastructure bills. So we got these beautiful bridges to Long Beach Island and to Ocean City, and they didn't even expand the roads. They just put walking paths and didn't really help the infrastructure at all. So I find infrastructure spending very dubious. They didn't even fix the tunnel, the Holland and the Lincoln tunnel, and add the third tunnel that they were supposed to. So I don't know. I agree with you that it's something that people say they want because that's one area of our lives that the government really affects, the roads. But I mean, I'm sick of paying $50. I mean, you go on the Pennsylvania Turnpike lately, it's like $30 to $50 just to cross it. So people in Pennsylvania now go around it. But no, I agree that it's being talked about as popular, but it didn't happen under Trump. Probably will happen under Biden in some form. But
I do think so. It's got momentum. Going back to your Elon Musk comment, the government is actually participating very actively in funding his project to bring 5G through satellite into rural areas in America. And I think when we say broadband, I don't know that that's just cable. The world runs on the internet, and I practice all over New York State. So in Manhattan, you don't have any problems in terms of connectivity and all of that. But when you get up into the Adirondack Mountains and out into western New York, there are many homes that don't have internet access. You can believe it. And not so far up. Columbia County, we do a lot of work there. 25% of the homes don't have internet access. So that, to run a modern household without the internet, is very difficult, where everything is being pushed. Everything now is virtual. Healthcare is virtual. So we are relying more and more on virtual services, and in order to deliver them, you need some connectivity. And the 5G project and the Musk project, the government is actually participating in funding some of that.
Some of it, but what I'm seeing according to CNBC is we're talking 900 million. We're not even at $1 billion. Maybe I'm wrong here, but SpaceX, Starlink won nearly 900 million in FCC subsidies to bring internet to rural areas. I don't think that's, in the trillions, but
it's not. But remember.
But that's what they do with these bills, though. They have one thing that touches and gives us value, like Starlink, and really a lot of people I know who work up there, who live up there, they like that there's no internet. It's only the wealthy urbanites when they go on vacation due to COVID that they want internet. But anyway, let's talk about the Biden. When we return, we'll be back with Louis Pierro, founder of Pierro, Connor, and Strauss. He is a business and tax planning attorney. We're going to get deep into the weeds here of the estate tax proposal, the income tax proposal, and what he thinks is going to happen. When we return, this is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
It's always on your mind. Retirement, whether you're 55 or 35. Not everyone wants to work forever, and most would like a comfortable retirement. You may already have a plan, but is it the right one? Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, is ready to guide you towards financial freedom. He challenges the ways your parents and grandparents saved money with fresh strategies, which are exactly what you need to navigate today's volatile economic climate. Josh's new book, Retirement Reality Check, is available to order on Amazon. It's an easy read that guides you through his system for securing your financial freedom, including tax-saving strategies, understanding the right investment mix, and more. Order now. Retirement Reality Check. Call Josh at 888-988-JOSH. Let Josh help you map out your retirement using fresh strategies. Call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674.
Hey, meet you out on the first tee?
Yeah, I'll be right there. Just reading this article.
On what?
New bill Congress passed. Looks like it's going to affect the value of all retirement savings plans. My financial guy didn't tell me about this when I saw him the other day.
Well, my guy did, and we made a plan. You may have heard of him, Josh Jalinski.
Josh Jalinski is your guy?
Listen, if you're 10 years or less from retirement,
Which I am.
Josh will give you a free economic plan, which includes retirement planning, a 27-point checklist to make sure your income lasts as long as you live. He'll even help you navigate the current tax code.
I'm definitely going to call Josh.
Cool, but first, can we play some golf?
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, for your free economic plan. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH.
Okay, this is your chance, folks, to ask an attorney, a real live attorney, any question you want for free. Call us at 800-321-0710. Attorneys love to do free work, don't they, Louis?
All about the pro bono work, which has a legitimate purpose, but We do have to get paid. We do have staff.
So you get to ask Lewis. Lewis, are you okay with taking any listener questions for attorneys?
I'll do my best with any question.
Yeah. Although we're not giving legal or tax advice as a result of the radio broadcast, but if you have a question, it would be great to. Lewis does estate planning, wills, estate and trust administration, business succession planning, and elder law and special needs planning. So we're going to ask him all of those types of questions. But first, let's go to the Biden administration's plan to reduce the estate tax exemption and if stepped up basis. Here's the thing, Lewis, I'm depressed about all these tax changes. So we have to get from a place of depression to action. So help me a little bit. So you help me a little bit. The corporate tax rate went from 28 to 25. Now, mind you, folks, the big benefit of the Trump tax code for small business, which I'm a small business, I guess you are too, Lewis, was this QBI that neither attorneys, accountants, financial advisors, or people in medical got it unless they reconfigured their companies. The 20% QBI, I think, was an amazing deal for the Trump tax code to finally give a tax break to small business. Is Biden talking about any small business extension? Personally, I think they should extend the QBI to all small business. What do you think?
I would agree with you, Josh. They carved out the professional world.
And the professional world was the world that would have voted. See, this was, I think, whoever was giving President Trump advice was giving him bad advice, because he basically told people who traditionally voted Republican that we're not really going to lower your taxes. People say, oh, my taxes were lowered. Yes, they were lowered if you made like $100,000. But if you were a small business, it was kind of the same. It really wasn't stimulative like it was supposed to be, unless you were non-professional services. But professional services are the backbone of the U.S. Doctors, dentists, accountants, attorneys, financial advisors. Anyway,
I couldn't agree more. And couple that with the SALT changes, the state and local tax deduction, which got capped at $10,000. If you live in a state like New Jersey, northern New Jersey, New York, your property taxes are way more than $10,000. And you used to be able to deduct all of those items, and now you're capped at $10,000. So for a lot of people, taxes actually went up.
Yeah, and people say, well, how did he lose in the suburb counties or the Georgian counties or all those? Because if you live in like Chester, Pennsylvania, they pay like $20,000 a year in property taxes in some parts of the Delaware Valley, of Philly suburbs, of Georgia of Atlanta suburbs, of Phoenix suburbs. So that's what happens, folks, when you have people from Texas, architect. A lot of people don't realize this. The architect of the Trump tax plan was not President Trump. It was chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Brady, who took over for Paul Ryan at that role. And they're big deficit hawks by heart, so they didn't want to raise the deficit too much. They really wanted to lower the corporate tax. But by the way, most small businesses don't pay this corporate tax. So you think the corporate tax will go? Let's make some predictions. I know nothing can really be truth. Sure. Nobody knows the future. But basically, by what you're saying, you think a 25% corporate tax is what they'll land on due to Manchin.
They will get votes for that. I think they could do that with 51 votes.
Okay, so let's say they have a 25% corporate tax code. Do you think QBI stays as is or gets extended for attorneys because attorneys donate to the Democratic Party? What say you?
Yeah, we're still to some extent reading tea leaves when it comes to that, because the Biden, what they released in terms of their tax proposal and what the Sanders camp released in terms of theirs, nobody mentioned the qualified business income deduction. So
nobody cares. Nobody cares about small business, basically.
They probably don't know what it is, Josh. You find that with tax policy.
Yeah, nobody knew this. See, that was the thing I think that was damaging. I mean, the QBI, if you were non-professional services, it was major. It was an epic part of the Trump tax plan, and it was great. And I don't even think, I mean, I was watching the debates and Trump didn't bring it up too much. Vice President Pence, however many months ago, brought up he said the average American got 1 to 2,000. He kept repeating that. But other than that, I didn't really hear this small business tax cut. And QBI, by the way, is revolutionary. Democrats and Republicans should get behind it because it was stimulative and did help small businesses. So QBI really disregarded. Here's where I think they're going to get 51 votes. Reducing the estate tax exemption to what, like 11 to 12 million, something like that? Talk about the reduction of the estate tax exemption.
So maybe a little bit of background in this. President Bush, W., put in a tax bill that phased in over 10 years. When he started, the estate tax exemption was $1 million. And by the end, we had repeal of the estate tax in 2010. If you remember that year, Josh, some famous people died, maybe the owner of the Yankees, and there was no estate tax in 2010. So their entire estates passed without any taxation. And then it came back the next year and it was supposed to come back at $1 million. We had the cliff, and boy, were we busy during that December when they thought there might be a $1 million estate tax exemption coming back in. But then President Obama did a deal to get his health care bill through, and it went to $5 million. So we've had a $5 million exemption since 2011, and it's indexed for inflation. The Trump tax cut doubled that. So it went from 5 to 10 indexed. This year, every individual, every one of your listeners can pass $11.7 million free of any federal, estate, or gift tax. That for a married couple, that's doubled. So $23.4 million can be passed estate tax free today. Remember, that's part of the temporary cut. So January 1 of 26, we go back to $5 million adjusted for inflation. So there's this window of opportunity, and we've been working with our clients that have the means to take advantage of this, to set up trusts, make gifts. It's been a very, very busy season, fourth quarter and now into this year, as we're seeing this tax cut come back. So it will revert back to $5 million regardless of what happens in legislation. But the proposal is much worse than that. It's taking us back to 2009 levels. So if you think about it, we're at 11.7 million. It's going to go to 3.5 under the Biden.
Wow, that's that.
And the gift tax, because they don't want you to be able to void your estate to get the money out early. The gift tax goes to $1 million.
What?
So 3.5 million for estate, 1 million for gift. They're trying to trap you in so that people can't do the things that trust and estates lawyers like me do. And believe me, we're busy right now. People need to take advantage of this $11.7 million window if you have means to move it outside of your estate.
So what do we do now? So do you set up trust now, or will they make this retroactive where if you did a gift today, you're screwed? Or really, we don't know. So the best thing to do is to act now and then hope they don't pass it.
Well, something is going to pass, and even if it doesn't, you're going to get caught when that window closes in 2025. But there are techniques and tools. Trust. We use trusts for a lot of estate planning. There are trusts that you can create where you can shift wealth, and it's outside of your estate. But, for example, a husband could create a trust for his wife, and wife for the husband, for that matter, put the $11.7 million in and give the spouse full access to it and still have it outside both of their estates. It's a very popular tool. It has a name. It's called a Spousal Lifetime Access Trust. We've done a number of those. They've become extremely popular because of this window that we have and this opportunity to shift wealth. That still keeps the assets and income available to the married couple through the spouse.
So as we're talking about, so that's a way, the slat is a way to sort of pass wealth, maybe to get it in through this window. And that's something that's very good. A spousal lifetime access trust. We've worked with attorneys and set that up. The attorneys have set that up, and we've helped fund them. But do you think it will be retroactive? So or do you just say, do it now, and if, they pass some grandfathering provision. They'll probably allow you to go in. Like, what's the precedent for that?
It's a great question. They call them ex post facto laws. If they pass a law and try to take something that you did prior to the passage under the existing law, and there are some constitutional difficulties that they'll have passing it retroactively. Typically, they will grandfather in anything that's been done. The IRS has already said that they are not going to claw back for people that use the $11.7 million exemption. If the window comes down to $1 million for gifts, you've passed $10.7 million extra on, they're not going to claw back against that. I don't believe that they will pass this retroactively. I think it will be an effective date. So we are counseling our clients to do the planning now. That said, we're drafting the trusts with enough flexibility. We put something in our trust called trust protectors. We serve in that role, accountants serve in that role. It's a professional that can actually modify the trust if the law changes. So you do the gift, you do the trust, but it's flexible enough that if the law does change and is retroactive, you can adjust the planning within the trust through the use of that trust protector. That's a fairly modern concept, but it's been used in England forever, and it's something that we are now incorporating into a lot of our documents.
Now, that's fantastic. So slats, trust protectors, we're getting a lot of golden nuggets of information here from Louis Pierro. So what do you think it'll be, though? I don't think they're going to pass $1 million with a $3 million because of family farms and things like that. Won't they probably just revert?
Exemption.
What's up?
So you get 15 years to pay if you have a family farm. That's part of the proposal. My guess is, because we're going to talk about the income tax too, that's going to go up. My guess is that what we'll see is an acceleration of the sunset. Remember that? That's why I gave the history lesson. The Trump tax cut sunset in 2025. I think that at the end of the day, the easiest thing to draw consensus on is simply to let that happen now, which would bring us a $5 million exemption index for inflation. That's what I've been predicting all along. We'll see what happens. You never know. But I think that makes a lot of sense. And with politics, that's the easiest path, the path of least resistance.
Sure.
Simply to accelerate the sunset.
So like $5 million each, so you could pass. So really worse than the later years of even Obama. See, that's what people don't realize. People thought Obama was bad for taxes. This seems much worse, doesn't it? I mean,
it can be. And you have to remember that each state also has its own unique tax system. And in New York, we have an estate tax. We don't have a gift tax. So you can gift in New York tax-free. But if you die with assets, $5.9 million is the exemption level. New Jersey recently repealed its estate tax. You flip over to Massachusetts, they have a $1 million state estate tax exemption. So you have to be cognizant of where you live and what the rules are. New York has lost a tremendous amount of wealth to other states, Florida, South Carolina, not just for the weather, but to avoid the estate tax and the income tax in New York. So that's something that the northeastern states have to contend with.
Yeah, I talked to a guy this week. He called us from Florida. He said, I don't like tax reduction strategies because I'm patriotic. I said, you moved to Florida. You used to live and the guy used to live in a high tax state, and he was decrying, people like you and me who try to have our clients lower their taxes through all the legal means available to them. So we'll talk about that, those who say, hey, we're not being patriotic. And it's funny, I'm more patriotic than you. I live in New Jersey. I give New Jersey 10 cents of every dollar I make. So it's funny. So we'll be back with Louis Pierro. Folks, if you have a question for Louis, call now, 888-988-JOSH, talking the new tax proposals. And folks, now is your time. 45-minute strategy session. And when you call us within the next 3 minutes, we will organize your very own income for life binder. Over a series of 3 meetings, all of your documents, protection, savings, and growth will be available at no charge when you schedule and keep your no obligation review. And folks, that's a very powerful offer, something where you get to see all of your insurance documents, all of your savings documents, and all of your growth documents in one. Normally, I would charge money for the binder. Today and today only, we're giving it free as a special trial to those of you who schedule and keep your no obligation review. Call us today, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Are you worried about the recent coronavirus crisis and how it may have affected your money? Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, inviting you to join me for my complimentary 6 Ways to Keep Calm During Turbulent Markets webinar. If you schedule and keep your no obligation webinar today at 888-988-JOSH, it's a great thing to do. If you're stuck at home under stay-at-home orders, call us right now, 888-988-JOSH. If you're bored, there's never been a better time to get a second opinion on your wealth than right now. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. And go to my website, retirementrealitycheck.com today and take your free investment profile quiz. And when you buy my book, you're eligible for 3 free gifts. 888-988-JOSH.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, 888-988-JOSH.
Okay, we're back with Louis Pierro, founder of Pierro, Connor, and Strauss, talking the new tax plan. So if we chalk up predictions, corporate tax are 25%, estate tax sunsets, anything, we'll go to income taxes, but you were mentioning for large estates, they really do need to set up trusts now. And folks, call us at 888-988-JOSH. If you want a free review for estate planning from a financial advisor, and if you practice, I'm sure we could rope Mr. Pierro into a free consult. Can we get a 2-for-1, Louis?
Absolutely. For your listeners and the listeners of the station, we will give a free consultation.
And watch, folks, on YouTube, The Financial Quarterback, Josh Jalinski. All you got to search for is Financial Quarterback. And you get a 2-for-1 special today when you call us at 888-988-JOSH and request your free review, your no obligation review. So, Louis, what other estate planning tips? So, slats with trust protectors, anything else that you would say, consider this?
It's a broad topic, but one of the fundamentals, and not everyone has 11.7 million, but if you have 5 million, you need to be concerned, maybe 3.5, depending upon what goes through. But everyone has an estate, whether you know it or not. And one of the things that we are very, very concerned about is having our clients have to get into protracted court proceedings. Now, as an attorney, I have a monopoly on the courthouse. I'm the only one that can walk into a courtroom or other licensed attorneys. So going through probate is something that law firms like because we make a lot of money. But avoiding probate is something that clients like because it keeps their family out of that court process. And we use another type of trust, a revocable living trust, for many of our clients so that they can have a smooth administration of their estate. It can be done with some tax planning for married couples, but everything in that trust is still yours. You control it 100%, but if you have those events, if you become incapacitated or upon your death, that trust is going to stand for you, and you're going to have successor trustees who simply step in and continue to manage. So I'm sure, Josh, you see in your practice people using revocable living trusts and putting their assets in and managing them and then having that immediate availability to a successor trustee without having to go through the court process. Sure,
yes. And folks, make sure you get a will, living will, power of attorney, healthcare directives, and a revocable living trust. That's a great tip also. So the slats, that was gold too. That's very good. What were you going to say, Louis?
We love acronyms. There are slats, grats, prats, all kinds of trusts. We use a lot of charitable planning for both income tax and estate tax planning. So if you have hospitals, colleges, charities that you want to benefit, those can be worked into your plan very effectively. We also do things called grantor retained annuity trusts, which shift wealth on to next generations, and just basic gifting, using your ability to gift. And a lot of people still think it's $10,000, but it's $15,000 per person per year. And you can also pay educational and healthcare expenses directly without having any effect on your gift and estate tax exemption. So taking advantage of the things that you can do year over year is a big step. Doing a trust, utilizing that lifetime exemption is a big step, avoiding probate. But I do want to touch on one asset, because you can't do planning in a vacuum.
Well, let's talk about that one asset, but first we're going to go to Carol, who is a question. So hold that thought. We'll have a little cliffhanger. Let's go to Carol. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, and Louis Pierro. Go ahead, Carol.
Yes, hi, Louis, and thank you for taking my call. I'm wondering if there's any downside to gifting a rental property to my daughter. I would like to just get it out of my estate. I live in Connecticut, and she's living there now, and she's renting it. Is there any downside to that? I'm 73.
So there wouldn't be any gifting downside to that. You would have to file a gift tax return and claim the use of your exemption to shelter that gift. But there could be a capital gains tax downside, because when you gift an asset, it carries your basis over. And I'm not sure what you paid for that property. You may have depreciated the property. But when you gift it, she's going to get your original cost basis. If she later sells it, she pays capital gains tax on that difference between the sale price and her basis. That's the capital gains tax.
Okay, and it would be even pretty much. I haven't gained much on the property. That's why I want to.
Then no harm there. No harm from a capital gains perspective. When we're going to talk a little bit about gifting, we just did, but when you gift to children, one way to gift to them is in trust. When you gift it to a child in a trust, their trust can be fully asset protected. So one of the other reasons we use trust is to protect assets from creditors' liabilities, bankruptcies, judgments. And so you may want to consider what we call a gifting trust. If you didn't want to make an outright gift, you wanted to have it protected for your daughter. And as a parent, I have 3 kids. They're all in their 20s. None are married yet. One is engaged. But if my children inherit from me and my wife and they get divorced, I don't want my assets that our family has accumulated to be lost in that divorce proceeding. If you put it into a properly designed trust for your daughter, it can be protected even from a divorce proceeding. So consider how you make the gift. If it's neutral from a tax perspective, and it sounds like it is, would it be better to just put it into her name, or to create a trust for her where that asset can be protected? She could even be one of the trustees of that trust and manage the property for herself, and it's still protected from her creditors.
Okay, could I ask you another question quickly? If she decides, which she may move, and she said, I may rent that out for income. Mm-hmm. Would that trust, if it were in a trust, could she keep that in the trust and have it as a rental property?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We do it all the time. The other consideration, remember I said asset protection is important. If it becomes a rental property, one thing to consider is somebody slips, falls, goes down the staircase, breaks their neck, and sues you. You don't want to have all of your assets subject to that liability. So we put rental properties very often in entities like a limited liability company. So if she goes to a full rental, it could still be in the trust, but for liability protection from things that happen on the property, a limited liability company is absolutely your best bet.
Okay, thank you. It's in a LLC right now, so she would wait until she wouldn't have to have an LLC while she lives in it. Correct.
Well, if it's already in an LLC, that's what you're gifting. You're gifting the LLC.
Oh, I thought the title had to change because that's my LLC.
Do you have other things in the LLC?
Yes, other rentals. Yeah.
And yes, you would you would deed it out of the LLC to your daughter.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for your help. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Carol. And we'll be back with the exciting conclusion to Lewis's cliffhanger when we return. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. And folks, call us today for our retirement reality check. Are you prepared for retirement? Are you 10 years from retirement or already retired? Order your free retirement reality strategy session and you'll get a complimentary new guide fresh out for 2021 called Fresh Plays for 2021. It's our free guide to help you get back on track financially. Maybe you're concerned about asset protection. Maybe you're concerned about are you going to protect your family, tax saving strategies, and growth opportunities in this uncertain market. So give us a call now, 888-988-JOSH. And if you call us today, we'll get a 2-for-1. I pulled Lewis's arm. He will also give you an estate planning consult at no charge. We'll be back after these messages. 888-988-JOSH. Call us.
Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback here. In these uncertain financial times, it is imperative that you guard your financial future. If you call within the next 3 minutes, we will offer our complimentary bear market survival guide, which will detail steps to help your plan to potentially survive the COVID-19 crisis. The bear market survival guide will cover how you might still be able to retire amid a volatile economic climate. We will throw in our complimentary 27-point ultimate game plan for retirement. Call us at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674 for your bear market survival guide.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. It's always on your mind. Retirement, whether you're 55 or 35. Not everyone wants to work forever, and most would like a comfortable retirement. You may already have a plan, but is it the right one? Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, is ready to guide you towards financial freedom. He challenges the ways your parents and grandparents saved money with fresh strategies, which are exactly what you need to navigate today's volatile economic climate. Josh's new book, Retirement Reality Check, is available to order on Amazon. It's an easy read that guides you through his system for securing your financial freedom, including tax-saving strategies, understanding the right investment mix, and more. Order now. Retirement Reality Check. Call Josh at 888-988-JOSH. Let Josh help you map out your retirement using fresh strategies. Call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674.
Hi, this is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Call us at 888-988-JOSH for the free review. It's a 2-for-1 special. An estate planning consult and a financial planning consult at no charge. Next up, Bill. He wants to leave his rental property to the family. Go ahead, Bill. That's a good question. So go ahead, Bill, and then I'll follow it up.
Yeah, good morning, Josh, and thank you, Lewis, for coming on. I had a quick question regarding investment property. Under the present tax law, is it true that if I have a couple of investment properties that have gone up in value and I want to pass it on to my heirs, that the heirs will get it on a stepped-up basis?
True, absolutely true, and that leads into one of the other Biden proposals, and that is to eliminate the step-up in basis. But and actually, there's a more aggressive proposal to accelerate the tax on the gain at death. So if you have appreciated properties and you die, not only do they not get a step up in basis, but they pay tax on the gain at your death. That's one of the proposals that is floating out there, which I think would be a complete and utter disaster. But under current law, your heirs get a full step up. That's a double bang when you have a property that's a rental property, because not only can they sell it and pay no tax, but their new basis is what the depreciation schedule is based on. So they basically get to redepreciate the value of the property at its market value on your date of death. So it's a very, very good win-win. Step up in basis and the new depreciation schedule.
Yeah, I'm. What do you think the chances are of the Biden getting that one through? Do you think that's a good shot at it, or do you think that might?
It has a lot of air on it. They've done this twice. In my 36 years of practicing law, they've eliminated the step up in basis twice, and within 6 months went back and rolled it back and put the step up back in. And Josh can tell you, trying to track basis on some securities where they've just been inherited or gifted, trying to track basis on businesses and real estate is extremely difficult. And the capital gains step up is something that helps not only wealthy families, but if kids inherit mom and dad's house and they get a step up in basis and they sell the house, if they have to pay 20, 25, 30% of that in capital gains tax, that's hitting very middle class people. And the Biden administration has said they didn't want to do that. So there are a lot of problems with eliminating step up in basis. Hopefully we'll keep that step up. That's one of the taxes that I think is going to have trouble getting through, because that's a middle class tax item.
Louis, I can't thank you enough, and thank you for confirming that. It is a double bang positive the way it is now, and I just wanted to confirm that. Josh, thank you for having Louis on. Have a great rest of your weekend, and happy Easter. Thank you.
Happy Easter. Hope you all had a blessed Passover and wonderful resurrection Easter season. It's a great time.
It is.
You get to
so the last
do eggs. You get to do. Oh, hey, Louis, I want to talk about the season for a minute now. Enough of this boring stuff, right? No.
All right.
Did you do any?
I had a cliffhanger, though.
I know. I want the cliffhanger. And I actually have a question on real estate, too. And then we have another listener question. But I love the eggs. I love Easter eggs and the tradition of doing eggs. But now I have so many kids. I have 6 kids. So I don't get to do the eggs anymore. I did one egg where I put little cross and an empty tomb, and then my 1-year-old took it from me. So it was a lot of fun, and we also did a Seder. So we had a Seder that was fun as well. Mm-hmm. My wife does a Seder every year. So let's talk about the cliffhanger. Go ahead.
So the one tax, that was a great segue into capital gains tax, because that is in play and bringing it up to ordinary income tax rates for high net worth individuals. But the income tax is also in play. It's right now at 37% top rate, going to 39.6%. But there was a tax law that passed under Trump that a lot of people are unaware of, called the Secure Act. And you deal with this every day.
I hated the Secure Act. I hated the Secure Act. But go ahead.
A lot of our clients don't know what the impact of that is on.
Yeah, people are still clueless of the Secure Act because of COVID. So they were like asleep at the wheel. And the Secure Act was one of the worst things for middle class wealth distribution in years. I mean, you used to be able to do a stretch IRA. And here's the thing, a lot of these things that are meant to tax the rich are really hurting middle class distribution of wealth. So I don't know why they just don't pass some law taxing Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, Google, because they're not even going to really pay these taxes anyway, because they spend a lot on their business. So they're able to write off their investment, like Bezos buying the Washington Post or whatever. So talk about that. Go ahead.
So people now, when they inherit an IRA, unless they're disabled or chronically ill, there are some exceptions to this rule, they have to take it out over 10 years. So during your lifetime, you're pumping all your money into the 401k, the 403b, the IRA, but it's a ticking time bomb. And that bomb's going to go off when your heirs inherit it, because now they have to pull it out, and they're going to be pulling it out at probably 39.6% income tax rate, plus whatever their state superimposes on top of that. So your clients and mine need to think about how they're structuring those IRAs. Roth conversions are a strategy that a lot of clients are looking at now because of the tax increases on the income tax side that are looming. And we also are pulling more money out and creating life insurance, and perhaps putting that life insurance in trust. That creates a tax-free benefit to the heirs. So paying some tax now on the IRA distributions putting it into a life insurance policy, holding that in trust that's fully tax-free. And there are some charitable strategies that we work in. The best dollars to leave to a charity are IRA retirement plan dollars, because remember, the charity is tax exempt. So if you think you're going to leave cash to a charity, don't do it. Leave your IRA, a portion of your IRA, because they get 100 cents on a dollar. Leave the cash to your children, your grandchildren. They get 100 cents on a dollar from that.
No, fantastic. And I'll throw in another one when we return, another tip. But folks, Congress is coming for your money. A devastating new law has just been enacted called the Secure Act. Serious consequences for anyone holding an IRA, pension, or 401k. Fortunately, there are still steps you can take to, reenact a tax plan. Call us today, 888-988-JOSH, for the 2-for-1 special. Lewis mentioned some, and we can mention others in a 45-minute strategy session. And he's been so gracious to give a session with him as well and his team. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Hey, meet you out on the first tee?
Yeah, I'll be right there. Just reading this article.
On what?
New bill Congress passed. Looks like it's going to affect the value of all retirement savings plans. My financial guy didn't tell me about this when I saw him the other day.
Well, my guy did, and we made a plan. You may have heard of him, Josh Jalinski.
Josh Jalinski is your guy?
Listen, if you're 10 years or less from retirement,
Which I am.
Josh will give you a free economic plan, which includes retirement planning, a 27-point checklist to make sure your income lasts as long as you live. He'll even help you navigate the current tax code.
I'm definitely going to call Josh.
Cool, but first, can we play some golf?
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, for your free economic plan. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH.
Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, and we have Ron, who's calling us at 888-988-JOSH with his question. Go ahead, Ron.
Hi. Thanks to both of you for taking my call. My father passed away in 2019, and although he owed no federal estate tax, we filed an estate tax return to preserve the excess unused portable exemption. When my mother passes, do you think that that portable exemption will still be able to be applied to her estate?
Lewis, I'll give you that one.
Question, and a technical question. It's called the Deceased Spouse's Unused Exemption, or the DSU. We acronymize everything. And when one spouse dies, you file a tax return within 9 months, and whatever exemption they did not use can be ported over to the surviving spouse. So in effect, you get to double the exemption from 11.7 to 23.4, even though nothing was taxed in the first spouse's estate. They haven't really given us any detail, but here's how I think that will play out. The amount of ported exemption should stick. So if you ported the full 11.7 million now, based upon one estate, the survivor will have whatever's left of their exemption, whether it's 5 million or 3.5 million. I do believe that you'll keep the full ported exemption from the first spouse's death, because that is the amount locked in on the estate tax return. And so you should be able to keep that exemption at full level. The surviving spouse will be subject to whatever estate tax exemption there is in effect at the time of their death.
So,
hope that answers.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that whatever exemption was not used up on my father's estate, you expect will still be available to my mother's estate.
Yes. That's the anticipation. We don't have any detail on that, but that's anticipated, because once you file that Form 706, the estate tax return, that's a locked-in number. So I don't think they're going to go back and claw back at that.
Sounds like there might be some good news, even with all these changes.
We hope so.
Well, there's good news if you act. A lot of people do not act. They procrastinate. I think now is the time to act. I don't think, unless we have a Republican take over of Congress in 2022, which looks possible in Congress but not the Senate, if you have a Republican Congress, a Democratic Senate, and Democratic president, if they get something passed now, it's not going to be repealed. And things could just keep getting worse, by the way. There's no every day they seem to be passing new laws. There's a very aggressive side to things. The Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party is taking over, and they want significant tax increases. So I think a lot of you have procrastinated when we've told you, hey, do planning. Now is the time to do planning. Louis, any concluding thoughts? We have a minute left.
I couldn't agree with you more. Procrastination is the enemy, and some people try to wait and just try to make it perfect, but don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Get a plan in place. You can always build on it. You can always modify it. Build your foundation. And I love the quarterback theme. Have a quarterback that can lead you through that process and make sure that all of your ducks are in a row, because you never know. Things happen, life happens. Be prepared for that. And so, great show, Josh.
Thank you for joining us. Louis Pierro has been so gracious to offer a free strategy session for those of you who schedule and keep your no obligation review at 888-988-JOSH. Call us today for the no obligation consultation, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, and check out Louis Pierro at Pierro Law, Pierro law.com, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH.
WOR and WAXQ HD2 New York.
Unprecedented coverage for these unprecedented times. You can depend on us. We are the voice of New York. 710 WOR.
An iHeart radio station.
And we've got 35 degrees at 10 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Paul DeCastro. 3 firefighters are injured, and 2 of them are in the hospital after battling a major blaze this morning in Queens. The 4-alarm fire at 111-46 Springfield Boulevard in Queens Village broke out around 2:30 in the morning and tore through several businesses. FDNY Assistant Chief Joseph Jardin says 2 of the firefighters had to be extricated from the rubble.
There were 2 members trapped in the collapse. Both members sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries.
Another firefighter suffered a minor injury unrelated to the collapse. It took about 3 hours to get the blaze under control. More than 200 firefighters and EMS crews responded. The cause of the fire is under investigation. The suspect in Friday's Capitol attack is being identified as a 25-year-old Virginia man. WRIC in Richmond says Noah Green is from the town of Covington near the West Virginia line. Green is a graduate of Allegheny High in Covington. He also attended Christopher Newport University in Newport News. After graduating, Green reportedly moved to Indiana. He is accused of ramming his vehicle into a Capitol Police barricade, killing Officer William Billy Evans. Green was then fatally shot by police yesterday. Former President Donald Trump is calling for a boycott of companies that interfere with efforts to change voting laws.
Trump slammed Major League Baseball for moving its All-Star game from Atlanta over Georgia's new voting law that critics say restricts access to the polls. He claimed professional baseball is already losing fans. He also called out Coke and Delta Airlines for speaking out publicly against the law. I'm Jim Forbes.
3 people are dead and 4 are injured after a shooting overnight in North Carolina. Police in Wilmington say they received word of the shooting at around midnight and learned that there had been a house party at the location prior to the incident. Cops say no one is in custody and there is no motive at this time. They also say that the general public is not in danger. In sports, the Yankees had Friday off, but they'll play this afternoon looking for their first win of the season after losing opening day to the Blue Jays. The Jays and Yanks get underway at 1:05. Mets don't start the season until Monday after the Washington Nationals COVID outbreak. The entire 3-game weekend series in D.C. postponed, so the Amazons will open up the season on Monday in Philadelphia. NBA last night, Knicks lost And hockey, it was the Devils also losing.
Here's your WOR Weather Channel forecast. It'll be dry through this weekend. Clear and cold this morning, and then a sunny afternoon with a high headed to 54. Clouds will increase tonight with a low 41. A warmer Easter on Sunday. Tomorrow with a few breaks in the clouds later in the day as the high climbs to 62 degrees. And a sunny start to the week Monday with a high in the mid-60s. I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr.
Start your day with Len Berman and Michael Rito in the morning, 6 till 10 weekdays. I'm Paul DeCastro and 710 WOR, an NBC News radio station.
Tired of losing money in the stock market roller coaster? Frustrated with the government taxing you into oblivion? Worried about inflation? How do you prepare for so many financial uncertainties? Welcome to the show that will help you develop your game plan. The Financial Quarterback with Josh Jalinski. Josh is a noted financial advisor and president of the Jalinski Advisory Group, and he's here to answer your questions. Call into the show at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. Now, let's kick off your financial future. Here's Josh Jalinski.
And we're back. This is the Financial Quarterback with Josh Jalinski. And we'd like to thank our guest this morning, Louis Pierro. He was awesome. We learned a lot of great information about some upcoming tax changes with the Biden administration. And here's Josh, your host.
Thank you, Ernesto. We're back taking your questions on all matters financial at 800-321-0710 if you have questions on what's going on in the world of finance. 800-321-0710. Bill Wong, I don't know if you've heard about this, Ernesto. There was a hedge fund that nearly imploded. It did implode. And what does it mean for you? Well, it probably means there are good deals on Chinese stocks. So Yahoo Finance has an article, God and Man Collide in Bill Wong's Dueling Lives on Wall Street. Archegos says Bill Wong created wealth at a historic pace before losing it all. So basically what this guy did, and this is particularly nerve-wracking, is the guy loaned money to invest in growth stocks, and basically, it was crazy. So what he did, it was epic. So this is from Fox Business. Before his collapse this week, losing an estimated $8 billion in 10 days, hedge fund trader Bill Wong increased the size of his fortune a staggering 900% or more in just 7 years. Wow, it's crazy. For the man behind Archegos' capital management, it may be one of the fastest creations of wealth and destructions of wealth in recent history. Major banks, by the way, invested in this guy. Billions. Like Credit Suisse, others, like $2 billion. Some large bank in Japan, $1 billion. It was like crazy. And it may be one of the fastest destructions of wealth in history. But why did they destroy it? They basically used a credit card from these banks to buy high growth stocks. The Facebooks, the Amazons, the Netflix, Google. So they bought with leverage. You can buy on margin. In fact, a lot of people tell you to do that. It's kind of a bad idea because of stuff like this that can happen. So what this guy did is he just levered up. And if you borrowed money, let's say, to buy Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google the last 10 years, Tesla, you borrow at low rates, and this is why I think low interest rates are bad for the economy long term. You could have rich guys like Bill Wong borrow at 2 or 3% and then put in stocks that grow at, as in the case of Tesla's, 7 times its value in a year. So it's crazy. So longtime hedge fund trader was wealthy, and basically, what is the point? of all this. It's crazy. So he, and you'll hear this, and apparently the guy used Christian faith too in his marketing, which I'm a believer, but I often tell people, you don't do business just on that basis. So it's crazy what happened, and there are a lot of problems with this whole thing. So this guy had a foundation, he gave away a lot of money, but if he just did the right thing for his clients and not buy everything with debt. So this was a guy who was the protege of Julian Robertson. So what do we see? We see some warnings for the average investor. I see 3 critical warnings in the life of Bill Wong that you can take advantage of. Number 1, there is a mystique in international investing. Okay, we have an Asian-focused company. Now, mind you, I am all for select Asian stocks that I think are of good value. I'm not. But this guy, he bought Asian stocks with a credit card from some of the biggest banks in the world because he was like a little god in the industry. He was the son of a Christian minister from Korea. That's tip number 2. Don't beware of affinity marketing based on religion, whether you are Christian, Jewish, Muslim. I've been taken advantage of by people of all faiths, and you might be too. So it's not a sense of which I am a deep Christian. I deeply value my faith in the Lord, but it is not the reason to do business with someone, and nor should it dissolve you of the ability to think critically. Okay, so people would say with this guy, okay, Asian focused, check. And all of this is alleged, and, we'll see what happens. But apparently $8 billion evaporated very quickly. And I don't know how that happened, but it's very easy when there's derivatives. That's the thing that Harry Dent was talking about last week. There's like 500 trillion in derivatives. People don't even understand what derivative is. It is something of a derived value. So you have $1 in, let's say, Tesla stock. There may be 10 other dollars taking bets, some betting it's going to go. So there's really no value in some of these bets that are going on. And I guess that's what he was involved in. I still don't know the whole thing other than he was buying with leverage. So tip number 1, avoid the mystique of foreign investing. You could buy index funds that invest in foreign companies. You could buy the real company. You don't need to take loans out to buy it. So avoid the mystique of investing. Know what you're investing in. Number 2, avoid affinity marketing scams. And number 3 tip, it was going to be good. Avoid leverage. Now, I'm all for safe, positive leverage. So people say, well, why do you think you should have a 30-year fixed mortgage? Because that to me is safe, positive leverage. You're not going to have a bank call the loan. Obviously, the banks called the guy's loan and said, we've lost enough here. We're calling the loan. You say, well, how did he lose $8 billion? Because he had to cover the loan. They covered with the cash they had. They didn't have the cash they said they'd have. So you know what? And that leads us to tip number 4. Boring is okay. I don't know about you, but I didn't come from much of any money. I'm okay if I have a house and some assets and I can pay off my debts if I want to with what I would call safe positive leverage, SPL. Because I have a home mortgage. Worst that happens is they take my home, I guess. But my interest rate is, let's say, 2.5% for 30 years fixed. The bank is not going to call my loan unless I do not pay. So people say, well, could a Harry Dent type situation happen? I want to be clear. I'm not promoting fear like Dent in any way, but it could happen because this guy lost like $8 billion in like a span of a week. And that's due to derived trades called derivatives. So the tale of Bill Wong says, and also don't trust people just because they're billionaires. They're dumb too. So just because somebody has a lot of money doesn't mean they're necessarily smart. So go ahead. I mean, think about how dumb that is. You got a guy who was wealthy in 2006. He was wealthy in 2010, but it wasn't enough. He had to lever to the hilt. And even the concept of leverage is good, but he didn't have cash. So what happens is these rich people scam each other, or not intentionally, but it's like, well, this guy has great returns of 90% a year. Well, warning sounds like Madoff. Now this guy didn't do any Madoff-like things. He just was financially irresponsible. So go ahead, Jack. Go ahead. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, calling us. So we have two lines, 800-321-0710. Go ahead, Jack.
Hi, Josh. I listened to your show last week, but I listened to it on Monday on the podcast. So as the Archegos hedge fund was imploding, and that got me a little worried because Harry Dent was talking about possibility of a severe correction coming on. So I figured maybe you, in light of that,
this has nothing to do with
better.
This has nothing to do with that. Like, one doesn't equal the other. Be clear here. Harry Dent came on the show in 2015, 2016. He said if he was wrong about the market, he would become a cab driver in New York. He's now sipping pina coladas on the beach in Puerto Rico. Right. So you got to realize, be careful of the mystique. That's another tip of the guru. Harry Dent is, we respect all of our people. He is right in this regard. Wealth could evaporate very quickly in the next downturn because of low interest rates and massive bets. So he is absolutely right on that when this ship is going down, it's going down hard. But the Fed knows that. So they're trying to keep rates artificially low so we don't have a Bill Wong a week. So I don't think Bill Wong is like the canary in the coal mine. He could be, but I don't think one fund is the problem. I think there is systemic risk in the stock market, and Harry is right about that you have to be cautious with your own money. And he does a great job of waking people from their slumbers on a Saturday morning. Very lively guest. But that being said, don't live your life on fear. But if you have 100% of your money in Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, there's a problem. There's a problem if, your wealth was created due to Tesla's epic rise of the last year, which, by the way, is because people think Tesla is investing in Starlink. And no, Starlink's a different company. So they think, and what happens when every other company has an EV? What happens when, so there are some issues I have with the general population. So I hope that helps you. Any other questions on that?
Well, my issue, what I see is this is now the third hedge fund that has imploded in the last, in 6 months, let's say. And then what I saw occurring was that because of this implosion, he was forced to sell numerous regular everyday stocks, put them onto the market, which led to an effect of those companies going down in stock value. So it's kind of like a ripple. It's even though he owns stocks in legitimate companies that now got reduced because he had to do these large block trades, and that's concerning.
Yeah, but that means they're good deals, and that should concern you. I mean, but how much of your nest egg is tied up in the market right now?
No, I'm not 100%. I would never do that.
Are you 50%? Are you 60? Are you 80? What is
probably
your
I keep about, I would say, almost 40% in cash. But the problem is that or something.
Your 60 could go to 30. Yeah, that's the problem, and that's true. It's where we are at the market. I think if I was a betting person, although you should not take anything anyone says as a reason to sell based on what year, I, for some reason, think we're in like '07. You know, in '07, there were warning signs. There were some banks going under. And I think that's what it is. It's like a warning sign for the watchers. But you might have a year and a half of some really good times in the market too. So banks lost a ton of money. Credit Suisse slid 14%. Nomura lost 16%. That's Archegos. You also got to realize too, if you're watching CNBC, they are trying to get watchers, and nothing generates the buzz like fear. So you have to be careful of that. But no, you're right. I mean, derivatives are a problem. We've had 3 hedge funds go under basically in 4 months, and that can move the market significantly. Melvin Capital, I don't think they went under, but I think there were issues. You had that other one, and then you have this one. So be careful. Also see who owns what. And are you a long-term investor or are you short-term? You really should be a long-term investor. Up next, we'll take your calls. But first, call us for the free Retirement Reality Strategy session today, and you get my free guide, how to navigate one of the biggest changes to your IRAs. Taxes are going up. Are you prepared? My clients are. Call us at 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Are you worried about the recent coronavirus crisis and how it may have affected your money? Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, inviting you to join me for my complimentary 6 Ways to Keep Calm During Turbulent Markets webinar. If you schedule and keep your no-obligation webinar today at 888-988-JOSH, it's a great thing to do if you're stuck at home under stay-at-home orders. Call us right now, 888-988-JOSH. If you're bored, there's never been a better time to get a second opinion on your wealth than right now. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. And go to my website, retirementrealitycheck.com today and take your free investment profile quiz. And when you buy my book, you're eligible for 3 free gifts. 888-988-JOSH.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program. 888-988-JOSH.
Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback here. In these uncertain financial times, it is imperative that you guard your financial future. If you call within the next 3 minutes, we will offer our complimentary bear market survival guide, which will detail steps to help your plan to potentially survive the COVID-19 crisis. The bear market survival guide will cover how you might still be able to retire amid a volatile economic climate. We will throw in our complimentary 27-point ultimate game plan for retirement. Call us at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674 for your bear market survival guide.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH.
I also want to figure out. Hi, we're back. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Ernesto said an interesting comment. He thinks a lot of legislation will come out as a result of these failures. I agree, but they won't do anything. They're going to be like, we're going to impede growth. That's why if interest rates were higher, interest rates right now might be 5 to 8%. Because think of it this way. Your money is your hard-earned dollar. How quickly would you part with it if you could put it at the bank and make 5% or 8%? And that's where I think rates should be relative to the risk. So the reason why we have a Melvin Capital or a GameStop or a Bill Wong is, and I'm livid of people who do these types of things. We all are. But it wasn't, in some sense, he was taking advantage of low interest rates and exploiting leverage. So what you do is you make interest rates more costly. You don't artificially hold them down. Because then somebody would say, Bill, prove yourself. Don't just make me money because you're gambling based on low interest rates staying low forever. By the way, there's a lot more like that. A lot of municipal bond funds that do that, municipal bond hedge funds, where they're playing off the low interest rates. And there's nothing particularly wrong with that. They're trying to get extra yield for their clients. But the problem is when things go wrong, they go really wrong. Next up, Maria. Go ahead. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback.
Yes.
Turn down your radio. Turn down Maria until she turns down the radio. You have to behave, Maria, okay?
Yes, thank you.
No, I'm hearing myself again. Maria, we'll have you back on when you can prove to our call screener that you've shut off the radio. So, folks, are you prepared for retirement? Call us right now for the 45-minute strategy session. What are you waiting for? Look at the funds. We will, if you call us today, 888-988-JOSH, we will throw in the 2-for-1 special. You will get a free consult with an estate planner. And today is one of your rare opportunities before they pass the new Biden tax plan. We had the Trump tax code. Now we're going to have the Biden tax plan. Who would have ever thought that President Biden would have been so consequential? Think about the stuff that every day they're passing things. So what do? Well, you actualize the plan. So there's probably going to be an infrastructure bill. There's probably going to be a tax hike. You do not go it alone. You set up things to prepare. You don't just put your head in the sand. I used to say this commercial, don't put in your head in the sand like an ostrich. And then somebody yelled at me and said, ostriches don't put their heads in the sand. I don't know if that's true or not, but I got a lot of flack for that. So I'm sorry if it's still running. I'll tell them to take the commercial down. So I thought it was a good commercial. It was like, don't put your head in the sand like an ostrich, because you want to just put your head in the sand. Like every day you read, the news gets worse. That's the other thing. I don't know about you. I've stopped watching as much news. It's just depressing. And folks, give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, if you have a financial question for us. 888-988-JOSH. So we have in the Biden tax proposal, the death tax is going to come back with a vengeance. The federal exemption will be lowered. Making gifts will be lowered. I didn't know they were proposing $1 million. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's one of like a negotiation ploy. Like we're going to make it $1 million to $3 million, so we settle on $6 million. Because it's easier to tax dead people. But here's the thing. If you're a billionaire, there is some point, I may get flack from this, from our conservative audience. There's some point in which Elizabeth Warren, of all people, is right. Because if you have a Jeff Bezos or Mackenzie Bezos, they take their money, they buy assets because they're smart, that throws off income. And then they give money to charity. And then their stock doesn't pay a dividend, and they do this all over again. And then they pay stock. They don't even really need to pay taxes because they buy, their yacht with debt. So they just really have to pay enough taxes to service all their debt, which is kind of what happened with this Bill Wong guy. He's just servicing debt. It's what happened to President Trump. People said he didn't pay taxes. He probably didn't. He probably used debt. He was the king of debt. He paid that is a little bit of a misnomer too, because like even Jeff Bezos, he's paying city tax in DC, he's paying sales taxes, he's paying property taxes, but Donald Trump was paying tons of property taxes. So even if they found some way to not pay federal income tax, they're paying all these other taxes. But the interesting thing about Warren with the wealth tax, although I'm against it precisely because we just don't, it's like Herman Cain had the 9, and God rest his soul, the 999 plan. I thought that was the cleverest thing, but the stupidest thing as well, because it's like, do we really want to give the government another way to tax us? And the idea was if it was 999, it would stimulate the economy. And I think he's right. But then somebody else will come in. You know, it'd be like we're reading the Pesach story for Passover, and there was a generation who knew not Joseph. You know, there was a Pharaoh who didn't know Joseph. If you know the story of Joseph in the Bible, he saved Egypt from famine, so he was exalted to a high position, sort of like the prime minister of all of Egypt, because he trusted God and basically saved all of the Israelites and all of the Hebrews and all of the Egyptians. So, but then, you know, so many years later, the Israelites were in bondage, and the slavery that we remember in the redemption in Pesach. So it's a wonderful time where these kind of stories converge with finance. But all that being said, like, there will be a generation that knows not Herman Cain or knows not whoever, and they'll go, well, you know, yeah, let's wealth tax everybody 10%. But if the idea is that they are sick of these billionaires, I guess they could just have a billionaire's tax. But that billionaire's tax, when I read the Elizabeth Warren proposal, it was like if you had an estate above 10 million, you had a 1% tax or something like that. So it was a way to get in, and then it'll be 5 million. And then it'll be 3 million. Then it'll be, you know, so it's like the death tax, but it's easier to tax dead people. So to some way, this is kind of odd, rather than having a new tax, let's just rather tax dead people. But these dead people, though, do have smart estate planning attorneys, and they usually gift everything to trust or charity. You know, the giving pledge is not merely dumb. It's so that they don't pay death taxes when they die. And they can figure out, they know the government is a poorly efficient means of distributing money. So they'd rather their charities. Bill Gates does that. There's charities that seek to help everything from vaccines to the blocking of the sun. Now they're talking about. So next up, Maria, your radio is off. Go ahead, Maria. Okay, we're going to take a short break. And when we return, we'll be back. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
It's always on your mind.
Okay.
Retirement, whether you're 55 or 35.
We'll have
Not
somebody
everyone
else
wants to
on.
work forever, and most
Love you,
would
Maria,
like a comfortable retirement. You may already have a plan, but is it the right one? Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, is ready to guide you towards financial freedom. He challenges the ways your parents and grandparents saved money with fresh strategies, which are exactly what you need to navigate today's volatile economic climate. Josh's new book, Retirement Reality Check, is available to order on Amazon. It's an easy read that guides you through his system for securing your financial freedom, including tax-saving strategies, understanding the right investment mix, and more. Order now. Retirement Reality Check. Call Josh at 888-988-JOSH. Let Josh help you map out your retirement using fresh strategies. Call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674.
Okay, we're live. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, taking your calls on all matters financial. If you have a question on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, whatever question you have, no question is a dumb one except the one that you do not ask. So, should there be a wealth tax? That's an interesting debate. Ernesto says no, but here's the one thing though. The one truth in all of this is some people don't pay taxes that should. That's why I'm a big believer in the flat tax. If you just had like a 10 or a 15% tax on everybody, and maybe you call that the 10% wealth tax, get rid of every tax, then you prevent these people from kind of gaming the system. But, you know, we'll see. So Bill Wong, interesting thing. And it just ticks me off when people get hurt and blow up. You know, I don't know how many regular people invested in Bill Wong, though. Is this just a bunch of rich people losing money? If so, that's fine. We don't need a bailout here. See, this is what happens with these low interest rate environment things. We have distortions in the system, and then the average person thinks, oh, it's Wall Street. Dude, Wall Street doesn't exist. The Wall Street that people think about, the Michael Douglas version of Wall Street, doesn't exist. Well, right now you have no commission trading on plenty of platforms. You have the rise of fiduciary investing. So like we're fiduciaries. So you pay us a fee, we help you with your money. We don't charge commissions on stock trades. We don't buy high commission REITs for our clients. We don't do that stuff. So there was a time where I guess Wall Street was screwing the average person. Like, I don't see that Bill Wong is Wall Street. I think that's like dumb hedge fund money that's usually used. It's like, in some ways, it's like the Madoff scandal. Madoff cost a lot of very wealthy people money. Like, so what? There's due diligence. You should have realized that you shouldn't have given your money to someone who actually held your money. So we have a third-party custodian. So your money's not with Josh Jalinski. Your money isn't with Wealth Quarterback. So some of this is, are we bailing out rich people again? Is this what this is leading us to? I don't know. It's like rich people shouldn't get unemployment checks. There's certain things that, we're like in a weird upside down world. So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. Interesting news, Tesla delivered over 184,000 vehicles in Q1 2021, but the Model S and X production has dropped to 0. So I don't know what that means. Are they just trying to do the 3 in the Cybertruck? A lot of people, are you into the Cybertruck, Ernesto? Does that interest you?
I drive a 2005 Honda. I'm perfectly proud of that. I'm not going to be blowing money on that.
That's the way to riches, Ernesto. Keep it up. The way to wealth. Hondas, Honda Civics that drive for 300,000 miles, and then you save that car payment in a savings plan on yourself. The way to poverty is to keep up with the Joneses. NFTs apparently are really big online. Everybody's talking about the non-fungible tokens. That seems like a wealth transfer tool for idiots. Although a lot of people are into it. So, there have been unstoppable trends before. So Biden has pledged that families earning less than $400,000 would not have their taxes raised. According to White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, said this would apply to individual filers as well. Is there a scenario where individuals making less than $400,000 would get hit if they file taxes jointly? I think yes, because I don't think they're going to get the revenue that they seek. And then they're going to say, you know what, we have to lower the threshold to $300,000. Oh, we're going to lower the threshold to $200,000. Oh, we're going to lower the threshold to $100,000. Also, the price of lumber is up nearly 150% as another sign that inflation is here. Inflation is not something afar off. I guarantee you that in a year, the Fed will announce that we have rampant inflation. And that's probably what will derail the stock market in a year and a half, when they can't keep the ruse, folks. Inflation is already upon us. The price of lumber, the price of steel, the price of this, the price of that. So give us a call, folks, 888-988-JOSH. Also, we're on Facebook Live right now, fb.com/thefinancialquarterback. Check us out at youtube.com. This is the other thing, Facebook. They what's up? And I'm on Instagram now. Ernesto is great, creating some great pictures on Instagram. Folks, I don't know if you know this, by the way, but Facebook is throttling people. We have like 2 people watching us. We have the most listened to show on WOR in the weekend, and we have 2 watchers on Facebook. So give us some eyeballs. The algorithm, these algorithms are just evil. So anyway, but
it used to be free.
It used to be free.
That's how we all grew up. That's how we all built our social media.
But now,
pages.
how many followers do you have on Instagram, Ernesto?
I think I have 40 some odd thousand.
40,000. Now, folks, go to Instagram, follow. What's our Instagram, Ernesto?
The Financial Quarterback, if I'm not, or is it The Financial QB?
The Financial QB on Instagram. We are The Financial Quarterback on Facebook. Give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. If you have any questions on your finances, call us 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. Get you on with me right now. You get to ask me any question you want free. And we're providing chock full of good financial gems for free. We're not charging anything for this show. I'm going to start charging. So the interesting thing about social media is platforms rise. You might say, well, I never heard of TikTok before. TikTok, 62% of all users 29 and under are on TikTok. That's the next, Facebook. But why does that grow? Because it privileges its creators. So I think, Ernesto, you should be on TikTok.
I don't have good dance moves. I'm sorry.
You don't need good dance moves anymore, apparently. They're trying to get more creators on there. So there are people who have like 1.3 million followers on TikTok. They have like 2 followers on Facebook because the algorithm on Facebook is meant to have you pay for play. Google, the same thing. So interesting. So folks, go over to our YouTube page at The Financial Quarterback. Now, why is that important? What does that have to do with investing? You will see, what is there? Rumble is the YouTube alternative. Rumble, Parler is the Twitter alternative.
VidAffair is a new one coming out.
Twitter might suffer with Donald Trump not being on it any longer. He's saying he's starting a new one. I don't know what he's starting. So Parler was taken offline, then it was put online. Then you have, now here's why, as an investor, you want to go to where the content creators are getting monetized or they are getting rewarded for providing content. And that's where the investment will be. So what we're seeing is there's mega opportunity. Spotify just bought a Clubhouse alternative, which is interesting. So we're on Clubhouse. And for those of you who want a free Clubhouse invite, let me know. Schedule your no obligation review and I'll give you an exclusive Clubhouse invite at 888-988-JOSH. And then you have a question, Ernesto?
Do you think because engagement on Facebook is flat, because you just said it's a pay for play model, which is true. Do you think that it's going to affect their long-term stock value?
We own Facebook, so in the interest of full disclosure, Facebook will become sort of the next Google, that their method of delivery will be paying for people in the over 50 demographic. The coveted 35 to 55 demographic, which led to Instagram's rise, that may fall. And I think that's why Facebook will probably buy a Clubhouse or something, because they're privileging their creators. They'll get all these people hooked, and then Clubhouse will become a widget on Instagram so that Instagram can maintain its dominance in social media. Or Instagram might buy, TikTok for that matter. But I think TikTok may surpass. There was worries, would TikTok even exist 6 months ago? I think TikTok will be rising now beyond Instagram. I think the young 35 to 55-year-old people will be flowing to TikTok. I didn't think how they could do it because nobody dances, but now they're doing TikTok videos and you're not dancing. That's why Instagram has Reels now. So it's very interesting. Now, what does this all have to do with money? When you're investing, you want to go, it's like Wayne Gretzky, you want to skate to where the puck is going. Now, people would say, well, why did you see opportunity in Facebook? Facebook's dying. Facebook's different. Facebook has traction among 50 and older people who will never go on Instagram. They find it confusing. They will never go on TikTok. They find it odd. And so their eyeballs are on watching their kids and grandkids, and there's huge amounts of money. So essentially, advertising will still be how Google and Facebook make their money. So I don't think they're going anywhere. And Zuckerberg is really trying to find what is the next coup? What is the next thing they're going to buy? You know, they had that Portal thing, which didn't take off. But if you look at Portal was really cool. Like you could get this thing, and as a grandparent, you could give your kid a Portal, and you felt like you were in the room with depth. Have you ever seen Portal, Ernesto?
I don't think so.
So Portal is a really cool thing, but it didn't take off because tech people who would buy it, like me, were like, I don't really want Facebook in my living room. You know, there wasn't that procedural trust. So they have to buy something like a Clubhouse, I think, or like a TikTok. Although, so we'll see. So what say you folks? Give us a call, 800-321-0710. If you have any question for me, we'll talk more about the Biden proposal to raise taxes. Also, how taxes were raised on you. Did you know that you had a tax hike if you were middle class under the Trump administration with the Secure Act? Now, tax rates were not raised, but the effective rate, and this is what's going to happen. Middle class wealth is going to be hurt. If you look at all these tax proposals, it's really to keep you a serf if you're middle class. If you have $1 million to invest, $2 million to invest, $5 million, $500,000, $100,000, $25,000, it's preventing you from being a reacher. Does that make sense? There are reachers and there are leechers. The tax code, as it appears to be, is benefiting more of those who leech and more of those who are on the top than the people in the middle. And so why isn't Biden's plan helping that? Because I'll reveal that, but Trump's plan hurt a lot of middle-class people, particularly with the death of the stretch IRA. It's called the Secure Act. If you want to know how it affects you, call us for a 45-minute Secure Act strategy session now, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Hey, meet you out on the first tee?
Yeah, I'll be right there. Just reading this article.
On what?
New bill Congress passed. Looks like it's going to affect the value of all retirement savings plans. My financial guy didn't tell me about this when I saw him the other day.
Well, my guy did, and we made a plan. You may have heard of him, Josh Jalinski.
Josh Jalinski is your guy?
Listen, if you're 10 years or less from retirement,
which I am,
Josh will give you a free economic plan, which includes retirement planning, a 27-point checklist to make sure your income lasts as long as you live. He'll even help you navigate the current tax code.
I'm definitely going to call Josh.
Cool, but first, can we play some golf?
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, for your free economic plan. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH.
Are you worried about the recent coronavirus crisis and how it may have affected your money? Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback, inviting you to join me for my complimentary 6 Ways to Keep Calm During Turbulent Markets webinar. If you schedule and keep your no-obligation webinar today at 888-988-JOSH. It's a great thing to do if you're stuck at home under stay-at-home orders. Call us right now, 888-988-JOSH. If you're bored, there's never been a better time to get a second opinion on your wealth than right now. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. And go to my website, retirementrealitycheck.com today and take your free investment profile quiz. And when you buy my book, you're eligible for 3 free gifts. 888-988-JOSH.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program. 888-988-JOSH.
We're back. We're taking your questions next on annuities with Nicole. Go ahead. You're on with Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback.
Hello.
Hi, Nicole. Go ahead.
Hi. I just had a question about a variable annuity. I have like around $100,000 I want to invest, and was told that might be a good fit for me. I'm not looking to, use it anytime soon. I'm 50 years old right now.
What are the provisions of the variable annuity contract? Do you know?
I have no idea. I know it's 1%.
Okay, 1% what? 1% fee, 1% floor, 1%.
1% fee.
And what are the benefits?
Not really too. I mean, I know it's tax deferred.
Okay.
So let's really just.
Yeah, you need a variable annuity course. So I'll give you a quick annuity course in 4 minutes. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Thanks.
Okay, number one, annuities are not a curse word. There have been people over the years who've said annuities are like the red-headed stepchild of investing. And that's not the case. Annuities are great for people who are conservative and want a savings account with an insurance company. That being said, there are pros and cons with annuities. First off, you have to know what type of annuity you are dealing with. There are 4 main types of annuities. Annuity type number 1 is called a variable annuity, which is what you asked about. It has generally, I've never seen a variable annuity with a 1% fee. There is one variable annuity that I know of that is like a $20 a month fee. You can call us at 888-988-JOSH. We'll tell you what are the lowest variable annuities out there. What is the benefit of a variable annuity? Purely tax deferral. Now, back in the day, there were variable annuities that had death benefits. They had guaranteed income benefits. Those exist now, but those annuities fees are around 3 to 4%. When you tack on the things you want to ask the advisor who's trying to sell you the annuity, what are the mortality and expense fees? What are the mutual fund fees? What are the hidden charges? What are the surrender charges? What are the risks? A variable annuity has a risk of the principal going down. Now, by the way, I'm not saying don't do it. Like those be some people say, oh, you don't want to do an annuity. What are you, an idiot? No, I don't believe in that. But you got to be careful and you got to know what you're doing before you do it. So call us at 888-988-JOSH. If you or any of our listeners are looking at buying an annuity, we will help you through. But these are the questions you ask. What are the mortality and expense fees? What are the mutual fund fees? Because unless it is what is called an IOVA, does that sound familiar? An investment only variable annuity? Have you heard of those? Those are the only annuities that you're going to pay around 1% on. So there are low cost annuities. And actually we will give you, there's an article that Barron's creates every year on annuities where we will make that available to you. And it goes through what are the lowest cost annuities. And it's sort of like a buyer's guide on annuities. I'll give you our buyer's guide annuity free when you schedule and keep your no obligation review. And if any of our listeners want the buyer's guide to annuities, 888-988-JOSH. You get that when you schedule and keep your no obligation review. Why are you getting that when you schedule and keep? Because we're making it I've been getting this question so much, Nicole. I'm making a guide just for you. You should feel honored.
Okay, I do.
Why? Because I've been getting it, and I'm like, do I really want to go into annuities? It's not like a sexy subject. We're going to go into, we're going to tell you about annuities all day. But you know what? Everybody's trying to sell annuities right now. So we want to help people evaluate what is a good annuity. A good variable annuity is something called an investment-only variable annuity where you sign a fiduciary fee agreement with the advisor. If it is a high fee-ridden variable annuity, I would generally stay away from it unless there was some income benefit. But generally, if you want guaranteed income for life, does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay, you often get guaranteed income for life better with what are called DIAs, SPIAs, and FIAs. A DIA is a deferred income annuity, no internal fees.
Right.
SPIA, no internal fees. The problem with the SPIA or a DIA sometimes is the money doesn't earn interest.
Mm-hmm.
And when you die, the money goes to the insurance company. So that's not really a good thing. However, you can add on their death benefits, cash refund options. So let's say you put in 100,000 and you die and you only took out 50,000 euros, will get 50,000, but there are no fees on those. And then there are what are called FIAs, which are called fixed indexed annuities. Those are generally where the fees about 1%. So there may be a confusing of fixed indexed with variable in what you're saying, because generally those fees are around 1 to 1.5%, and they have a guaranteed income for life when you buy an additional rider, which comes for that 1 to 1.5% fee. The benefit of the variable over the fixed index is a fixed index is capped gains. So your gains are limited, but the benefit is your principal is protected. So you want to make sure you call us for our free annuity guide at 888-988-JOSH. And don't go it alone when buying an annuity. Call us now, 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback here. In these uncertain financial times, it is imperative that you guard your financial future. If you call within the next 3 minutes, we will offer our complimentary bear market survival guide, which will detail steps to help your plan to potentially survive the COVID-19 crisis. The bear market survival guide will cover how you might still be able to retire amid a volatile economic climate. We will throw in our complimentary 27-point ultimate game plan for retirement. Call us at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674 for your bear market survival guide.
Call Josh Jalinski, host of the popular Financial Quarterback radio program, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH.
We're back. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Call us for the free guide. I'm going to be creating guides for a whole range of subjects, but we have a free guide called the 2021 Key Playbook. Who is that for you? Anybody who wants free advice. Well, we're not giving advice, but I mean, free tips, a free guide that will give you information on a range of subjects such as annuities, insurance contracts, tactical money management. What if you're like, hey, the market's up, and I don't know about you, but this Bill Wong thing kind of scares me. All these hedge funds going down. Is this the canary in the coal mine? How are we going to, we'll make that guide available to you. It's the 2021 Key Playbook. We've also done extensive research in the area of Bitcoin from a fiduciary investment standpoint, where we're not blown up by the hype. Call us at 888-988-JOSH for our strategy session, Avoid the Hype. Next up, Eddie, crypto and taxation. Go ahead, Eddie.
Yes, thanks for taking my call. The question I have is this. I get a small Social Security each month, and I'm unemployed for over a year. But I want to invest maybe a little in the coin, the Bitcoin, but that's kind of out of my range. They have that coin jumped a lot, but they have another coin. I think it's the Ephraim coin. I'm not sure. It's a smaller one that also jumped in the last week a couple of $100. Is that taxable if I buy those?
Yes.
A few of those coins?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, of
That
course
you have
it's
to put in your
taxable.
tax.
Yeah, of course it's
Yeah.
taxable.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just thought that's something new that you can hold on to, and then but it is taxable.
What is it
Yeah,
called?
so
The Ephraim coin?
It's like
You mean Ethereum?
Maybe that that might be.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know.
not the Ephraim coin. It's the Ethereum coin.
So
yeah, I don't know what you should do. I would limit one's exposure to 3 to 5% in maximum in those types of asset classes, and beware, they could go to zero. What if Bitcoin is outlawed? That being said, though, it's importance of asset class diversification, right? Have some U.S. stocks, You could have some annuities, have some insurance, have some Bitcoin if you want, have some Ephraim coin if you want. It's called diversification. But realize that what happens if the government says, like, we're going to ban this because criminals are using it for money laundering activities. That's why you shouldn't have too much in any one thing, because, there's like the old proverb, keep all your eggs in many baskets. Give us a call, 888-988-JOSH, for the 2021 guide, fresh out, written by me, 2021, and head over to Retirement Reality Check and buy my book today, and you get 3 free gifts when you buy my book. Or you could buy my book anyway. It's called The Retirement Reality Check. It's an Amazon bestseller, and you get 3 free gifts when you purchase. But call David now, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. And here's a tip. Don't buy any Ephraim coins. 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Jalinski Advisory Group. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior Market Advisor, and top of the $1 Million Roundtable, are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Josh Jalinski or Wealth Quarterback LLC. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Wealth Quarterback website at www.jalinski.org. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to affect transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions, the information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, Josh Jalinski and Wealth Quarterback do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature, is provided for informational purposes only, and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Investment advisory services offered through Wealth Quarterback LLC.
WOR and WAXQ HD2 New York.
The information you need. The shows you love. The voice of New York. 710 WOR.
An iHeart radio station.